Hey guys, we're going to be going through the steps of how to set up your brand new Mac computer. And what I'm working with here is a brand new MacBook Pro 16-inch, but the steps we're going to go through is going to be just the same as if you got one of these big guys here. When it comes to the newer models, as soon as you open it, it's going to start up for you. So here we go. It's be super brand new. Alright guys, so the first thing you're going to see here is to choose your language. So as soon as you see it, you make sure you tap on it. If it's blue already, it's selected. So if it's anything else, just make sure you tap on it, turn blue, and then go ahead and press this next button. Great. So the next screen here, you go ahead and choose your country, of course. So if it's already chosen in blue, go ahead and hit continue. And of course, the next thing is your Wi-Fi. This is very important. So if you need to pause here and get the Wi-Fi password, all right, now they got our password in, go ahead and hit continue. Great. So now it's going to take you through a lot of the privacy settings and a lot of legal stuff that you are going to really agree to because you bought this computer and this is what it comes with. So go ahead and hit continue. You could read that and go ahead and hit continue. So this part is important and pretty self-explanatory, but let me go through these three choices here. If you've had a previous Mac computer and you want to pick up where you left off, then you would choose this first one to transfer information from. Now, if you are coming from a Windows PC and you want to transfer anything and everything that could be relatable here on the Mac, you would choose that. And this means these two choices mean that you actually have either an external hard drive to plug into, or you have the computer next to you and you actually have a hard wire between the two computers. Okay? Now, this last one means don't transfer any information now. Now, the operative word is now because it can always be done later using Migration Assistant. If you can see that right there. It says you can transfer information later, just like I said, using Migration Assistant. So, I use iCloud for most of the information I had on my previous Mac. So, all I'm going to have to do in the next couple of windows is sign in, and all that information is just going to be flooding back in. But here's the caveat though. The applications, the programs that I was using, are not going to just appear. I can re-download them, but maybe the information within them is not going to be in there. And if I wanted to restore the information within those other applications that I had downloaded previously, then that's probably when I'd want to just transfer from a time machine backup to this one. Okay, so for right now I'm just going to not transfer. And here we go, the signing in with Apple ID. Now this is really the heart of the Apple ecosystem. Signing in with an Apple ID, which is the email address and then the password that you chose for Apple products. If you have an iPhone, iPod, anything else Apple related, you have an Apple ID, and this is where you're going to put it in. If this is your very first Apple product, then you want to create an Apple ID. So I'm going to fill mine in and take a look at these pictures here. And this is the cloud, this is music, applications, messaging and FaceTime, and then locating all of your other Apple products also, turning on that locator. All of that information is set up using the Apple ID. So if I go ahead and put my credentials in, all of these things will come together, and it'll just be set up for me at this point. Now, if you don't want to do anything with this, then you can say set up later, and it'll skip this whole signing in process on here. So it also gives you another choice. If you use different Apple IDs for iCloud and Apple Media purchases, then you would click this here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and sign in, and I'll see you on the other side. So after I sign in, because I already have an Apple ID and have everything else set up, it's now going to ask me, and I have two-factor authentication, which means that it's going to check with any of my other devices that I'm signed into. It's going to give me a one-time code to make sure that it is me signing in using my Apple ID. And I have an iPhone, iPad, and all that stuff, but also an Apple Watch. So if you have an Apple Watch, it will also ping this too. And let's see if I can get this in. You see that right there? This is a one-time code that I put in there. So it was very convenient to just see this on my wrist. Anybody can see those numbers because it's only used one time, and once it's used, it is thrown away and destroyed forever. So it's not a security thing for someone to see those numbers because it can't be used again once you use it, okay? Here are the terms and conditions as always. Now you can always read the many pages of this, but if you know what you're getting into, go ahead and tap on agree, and just to make sure, agree. Great. So this is me. I could name my account whatever I'd like. Now, because my Apple ID, it knows my name. So of course it's going to fill in my name, and it will attempt to go ahead and just put your name again here as an account name, but you could go ahead and change that to whatever you would like. So if you tap in here, if you want to change it completely or whatever you'd like, you can go ahead and edit that. No problem. Now this right here, this is what you want to either write down or remember, or make sure this is the password that is just for the computer. This is not an Apple ID or iCloud password. This is solely just for the use of the computer. So if you need to think of a password or go ahead and get this in here, go ahead and pause and go ahead and do this here. But remember, this is just for the computer, and it's important that you do remember it, or of course write it down somewhere, because if you do forget this password, a few things can happen. One, you can recover it, or it's very possible to just change the password using other means afterwards. But it can get into a little bit of a headache when it just doesn't let you back in, or you don't have the permissions to get into your own computer. So choose something that you remember, but at the same time, make sure that it's not easily guessable, whereas someone who just knows you slightly would, your pet's name, your street address, things like that you want to avoid. But something that you would know and remember, definitely put that in there. Great to mix it with letters and numbers on there, and it will actually help you out if you go ahead and put a hint to yourself as to what the password may be. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in, and I'll see you on the other side. Before we get to the other side here, I did want to draw your attention to this box here. It is defaulted, of course, to allow my Apple ID to reset this password. Apple always wants to give you many avenues to get back to your own security. So if your Apple ID is easy to reset, and you could actually just reset that password, or you just know that one a lot better than this one, then your Apple ID, knowing that, will in turn allow you to gain access if you forgot this computer password. Okay? All right, so you see here, I ran into a little issue. Says iCloud cannot be set up. Try setting up iCloud later in System Preferences application. So if you run into any of these roadblocks or snags, don't panic. It's fine. You will be able to have a working computer and everything working. Things like this can happen, but it's always fixable. Okay, so we just press OK on here. All right, so we're here at Express Setup, and all that this means is that if you go ahead and just continue, Apple's just going to turn on all the lights, all the bells and whistles that make your computer work, and just move on, and you can customize your settings later. But if you would like to customize your settings at this point, you still have that choice. For me, I'm just going to continue, and I can do all that later. Now here, analytics. Really, it's not the biggest deal, But I would actually like to participate in Apple making better software, better hardware. So if anything does go wrong with my computer, whether it be a software issue or a hardware issue, then this is the anonymous information that could be sent to them. So when a program stops working, freezes or anything, and then Apple has a pop-up saying, hey, would you like to send this error to Apple? This is what it's all about. And it's just about making better products in the future. So for me, I would say share, but you can always leave it blank. And again, if you saw that it was blank, they did not choose this for you. So you can always have that choice. So this is screen time setup here. So it says here, get insights about your screen time and set limits for what you want to manage. This is not only great for yourself, but if you're sharing this computer with family and you have kids or grandkids or anything like that sharing this computer, then setting limitations and seeing what is really going on this computer, or even having a screen time passcode, all these restrictions and stuff like that that you want to set up, you can do it here. You could also set it up later right here. Now if you continue, and of course Siri, if you enable Ask Siri, that means that you are enabling voice control. So you can actually speak to your computer and say H-E-Y Siri. If I actually said it, all my other devices would go off. But if you say that, then it will come on voice activated, and then you can ask it to do whatever you like on your computer. So if you want to enable that, great. If you don't, then you uncheck that, but I like it. And here's the Hey Siri. You can always, because it needs to recognize your voice, right? So this is going to be the setup, and it's going to recognize my voice. You can always do this later, just like it says up there. So I'm going to continue. Hey Siri. And with that, Siri will now recognize my voice, and we can move on. So here's another thing about privacy. And of course, you know that Apple is very big and vocal about privacy and wants you to have the choice of what is happening with your voice dictations. So if you'd like to improve dictation, then you can share your audio recordings, which means if you say, hey Siri, open up my documents, and when you say that, it does not identify who you are or what computer it came from. It's very specific information that it's looking for. It's not really the content of what you're saying. It's, did Siri do what you wanted it to do? And these are all just ones and zeros. I understand if there's some trepidation about that and you don't want that to happen, that is not a problem, because it gives you this here and it doesn't even fill it in for you, because you should make the choice. Now for me, I enjoy that. I do want to improve dictation on that, and I'm not going to be having heavy conversations with Siri, so I'm okay. Okay, so on this particular type of computer, this does have the Touch ID on the computer. So this is specifically for those computers that have that will have this particular way to unlock your computer, which is great because this uses your password and puts it into Touch ID. So if you've had an iPhone that had the touch button at the bottom, or you've used Touch ID before, this is exactly the same thing, just now on the computer. So I do want to use that, and I want to press continue. Up and down. And now it says it's ready. And of course, dark mode is now a part of the Mac. So you can always have it light, always have it dark, or have it light and dark depending on the time of day where you are. So you can always configure this later. You can change it at any time, but at this point, just pick one and continue. And of course, gives you a little preview. See how everything else went dark? True tone display. And here we go with setting up your Mac. Now we're here at the home screen. You can start using your computer, open up any and all of your applications. If you guys have any questions about that, comment below, let me know, and I'll help you out. Have a good one.